Okay, here we go. How much does this bike weigh? Hey there, it is now a couple of days after my journey. I got home on the Friday, it's now Sunday, and I have this handy dandy luggage scale. I intended to weigh my bike and see what it weighed before I left, but I did have to race the train literally because they were 4 hours behind. I thought I would get an extra hour of sleep. Suddenly they made up 3 hours of time before the station, and I had about a 45-minute drive. So no time to wait before. I did have maybe an extra 4 liters of water on board that I don't have now, and maybe a couple of pounds of food. So I've rigged up this little rope and the luggage scale, and I'm going to lift this guy up and find out. Hopefully it doesn't swing around. 70.3 pounds. Let me see if I can cut and grab the camera to show the actual reading on the scale. 71. Okay, so we're gonna do a little bike weight check here. The whole bike was like 71 pounds with all of the gear. That did not include about 4 liters of water. So we're gonna add like 9 pounds of water, maybe about 2 or 3 pounds of food, because I had some dehydrated meals. I had 3 of those. I had a bag of mixed nuts. I had some Werthers, I had some raisins, and then some real fruit gummies. So yeah, at least 3 pounds in there. So we're gonna add 9 pounds of water, 3 pounds of food. That's 12 pounds onto the 71. So I guess that makes it 83 pounds for bike, water, and gear. I'm gonna weigh everything individually here. Okay, so we're gonna weigh out this dry bag again with my tent in it, and it says 6.9 pounds. I think the tent itself, let's take this out of the dry bag. Yeah, the dry bag was used successfully to wash some laundry, and it worked as a good sink. Flipped it inside out so that the tent wouldn't get wet. However, when it rained at night and there was dew in the condensation, you put a wet tent in, you get a wet tent out. So that was no good. What I would recommend is the old laundry bag, like this thing here, to put your tent in, which was also used many times to dry clothes. Now here's my tent alone, 6.0 pounds. 6.0 pounds for the Tyvek ground sheet and vestibule entrance there of the tent. It was just on my rear rack up here, and I had that strapped on originally with a little cargo net that I got from Mech, and that broke on like the second day. It started to tear, I didn't trust it. So I picked up some of those black tarp straps that you see on the road. The only thing with those, they were kind of heavy, a little bit awkward, and they scratched the rack. So I bought 2 of these little Velcro compression straps from a Home Hardware for $4, and those are the cat's meow. Okay, so in this dry bag here, this, not a dry bag, it is very dry, but in this Ortlieb Classic Pannier, I had all of my food, I had my cold weather gear and charging stuff, and then extra water, because sometimes I carried an extra liter or 2 of water up the mountain passes. And this thing weighs 11.4 pounds, okay? I will unpack that in a minute. In here, I got a Kelty down sleeping bag. It's a 40 Fahrenheit bag. It's in a stuff sack, and then in this waterproof compression bag. 2.1 pounds. Okay, luxury item. We actually used this Helinox Chair 1 quite a few times at camp. My tent is a 2-person tent, so the vestibule was big enough to put the chair in, or underneath it, I should say. Could probably have set it up in the tent too. This is 2.2 pounds. And the other pannier, which has clothes, all of my cooking kit, some extra food. I don't know about this one. I think it's gonna be like maybe 13 pounds. Ah. And it weighs 13.0 pounds. I'm not lying. I did not weigh that before. That was just gathering based on how heavy the other one was. So we'll add up all those and show you what's in all the bags. All right, and here I have got a Waddy Inc. who rebranded. I don't remember if that's their new name or their old name. Anyways, they had these handlebar bags. I use this for my GoPro buff, sunglasses, cleaning cloth, and then anytime I stopped, I put all my electronic valuables in here. It's not really too big, but I had easy access with my TT bars. I also had this Usui Outlander Pro backpack with me. It holds 2 liters of water and cards and such inside in a tiny pocket, and this weighs 1.8 pounds for all of that combined. And in this little tool keg that I had for my bottles, 2 pounds of gear in that. I actually didn't use anything in here, so that was just 2 pounds of extra gear carried. I guess it's emergency gear, so you got to bring it along. But okay, so I've taken off the handlebar bag, I've taken off these TT clips, I've taken off the frame bag, the top tube bag, and the little feed bag. So first off, we're gonna clip on these little clip-on TT bars and see how much that they weigh. So put these together. That'll be 1.5 pounds. Next up, we have the frame bag. So I use this mostly for my tools, my little pump that I have. It's a Lezyne floor drive. So it's a floor pump, but it's portable. And my bike lock and maybe a bit of extra spares. This is 3.1 pounds. Next up, we're going to do the harness for the front handlebar bag. This is where I had kept my sleeping bag in here. This isn't very much. I don't know what this might be, maybe 0.5 pound. 0.6 pounds. Okay, and that feed bag, this was actually incredibly useful for me. It stored up underneath my elbow pads, and I was able to put all my food and such in here for the day, put noon tubes in there just so that they were easy to access. They weren't super easy because it was underneath the elbow pad, but easy enough to get to when I needed. Right now it's 0.7 pounds, but it's not stuffed full. I got a bag of nibs left over. What else do I got in here? I got 2 Cliff Bars. I shoved all my garbage in here too, so you don't have to litter. Oh yeah, I got a thing of Werther's left in here. What else is in the bottom of here? Oh, more garbage. It feels like there's something else. Oh, that's a dime. And this little metal ball bearing. I found this at the top of a climb near a mining company entrance. I was waiting for Paul and Terry to come up the climb, and it turns out that's where Terry had lost a bolt out of his rear rack. So the guys weren't lollygagging up the climb, but I was like getting kind of worried, like, where are these guys? And just as I was waiting around for them, found that little ball bearing. Weight of that, and then my top tube bag. This is really empty now. I had things like my spare light. I had a little puffer in there because, you know, smoky air kind of gets me sometimes. I had some zip ties in here, lip balm, my multi-tool. I was carrying my cell phone and my wallet, my ID and stuff in there too if it wasn't in my Usui pack. So this isn't going to weigh too much right now because I don't have my phone in there. Maybe what I should do is just pop my phone in here, and that'll get a little bit truer of a picture. Often too I would have like extra Cliff Bars in there. So with the phone, 1.3 pounds in it. All right, so the bike is pretty much stripped. I left this Bontrager back rack deluxe MIK on here. This MIK rack is for quick attachments. It weighs 650 grams or 1.5 pounds. This little elasto net from Delta expands 2 times in size to secure those hard to hold items. I don't know, this costs like $5 at Mech. It says $17 when it's on sale. That lasted about 2 days, so I would not recommend overstrapping things. I was just trying to hold my tent on, and I think I tried putting on my camp shoes with that. But again, that elasto net, maybe for small items, you're okay. Okay, let's weigh the bike now that I've got everything off of here. This has 3 bottle cages. They are not lightweight. It includes that 1.5 pound back rack. It includes a Garmin eTrex mount up here, my Blender Light mount, and the Blender Garmin mount, and actually my Edge 530s on there, as well as this Ass Saver fender, which was actually very useful. Okay, so I'm running Crank Brothers Candy pedals, Candy 3s, and this has Zip 303 S wheels that are set up tubeless with specialized pathfinders. So let's check it out. 22.9 pounds. So 22.9 pounds is what's left, and the bike is pretty well stripped. So it's not a lightweight bike, but it's not super heavy either. All right, so what's in all of the equipment that I packed along? Let's get a little bit closer. Here we are. This is a Z-Fel tool keg. What did I have in there? A cassette tool. I had a spoke wrench. I had a Shimano crank tool. That little, I don't know, flowery shaped thing. On the back side of this is a lock ring rotor tool. Very important if you're gonna get things off. I had a couple of spare quick links wrapped up in this cloth to make sure it didn't jiggle a bit. I had a chain tool. Pulling this out, I had a spare tube, which hopefully I don't need to use. I didn't have any flats, no problems using tubeless. I make my own homemade sealant, but I had a tube extra. Always important to carry, and that's it in there. It beside the tire levers. Okay. Next up, what do you have in your frame bag? So this is the Totique mid-loader. This was the stuff sack for my little inflatable pillow. Unfortunately, that wrecked. I glued it together. I worked for about 5 hours. Had a little pinhole leak. Tried to put a patch on it, didn't work. So I repurposed that for paracord so I wouldn't get tangled up on everything else. That paracord was indispensable. Absolutely would bring it again. A very cheap cable lock. My bike never got stolen. How's that? Okay, I don't know if I would trust it in an area that would stay for a long time. I had some extra valve cores, did not need those. Plastic garbage bag for waterproofness. Sometimes my stuff got wet, didn't really matter. It dried out the next day. A little headlamp with replaceable AAA batteries. Not much good when you don't bring replaceable AAAs and you're far away from restock. Okay, and then in here I have my bike tools. Some toilet paper and a wet wipe. Okay, we actually were fortunate. We did not need to use any wild spots for toilet paper and whatnot. Okay, we always were able to find the washrooms. This is my Lezyne floor drive. It has a pressure gauge on the pump, which was great, except for the battery would die, so I didn't put in the new battery because it would die within a couple of days. Dyno plug kit from Blackburn, never needed to use it. 3 extra spokes. I was quite concerned with the amount of weight on my bike. Didn't need to do anything with the wheels. Silka Super Secret top up for the wax. I use a wax chain. I put that on about every 100 to 200 kilometers. This is just an extra foam clip off of my handlebar bag, the Topeak front loader. Should be another one in here. What else? CO2 inflator. Again, never needed that. And the actual inflator for it. Some stands sealant in case I did have a bad puncture. A knife, used that a couple of times. In case I needed to go to the gas station, I had this Schrader to Presta adapter and an extra battery for my pump to know what the gauge was. A little tiny zip tie to do a dipstick check in case something happened weird with the sealant. There's the other little spacer for my handlebar bag. Electrical tape, very useful, recommended. An extra zip tie and a valve core tool for your valve stem. All right, what did I keep in these Ortlieb Panniers? These are the 20-liter version. It's what I found online. I live in a small town, so I better either drive like 200 kilometers to get to the nearest local shop that would sell something like this, or I order by mail. This is a Thule electronics case, and though it's a little heavy, it does a really nice job of organizing all my cables for charging. I kept my Specialized Sticks lights in there. These are the ones with the green lettering, which switch back and forth between red and white, so you can use them on the front and back. I brought some headphones for listening to music, totally useless, never used them at all. This little charging adapter is a 5-port. It uses 3 USB-A's and 2 USB Type-C's. Pretty good for charging. The only thing is, because of its width, this doesn't always fit nicely into certain plugins. And these Sticks lights use up about a slot and a half the way that they charge. So I could charge the 2 of them in here and nothing else, USB Type-A. Or I could charge 2 USB Type-A and 1 Sticks. So charging those were a little bit of a pain. This is my little power bank that I had. It's a Vital, bought it at the source. 20,000 milliampere hour. I think the lowest it got down to is like 50%. But again, you can only charge 1 of those Sticks lights the way they were, or 2 other USB-A. The USB-C on here is only for charging the power bank. It would not charge USB-C devices. So that is something I would look into if you were going to buy a power bank. Had some extra bags for groceries. Here's my hat. My cooking kit. It's a Primus stove. It's got the heat exchanger. It's got a felt insulator. I got a lighter in there. Knife, fork, and spoon. And this is a little cool device I had, which I actually used. This is a propane tank refill adapter, because I ran out of propane in my 100-gram tank, had to buy another one. I bought a 200-gram tank and just filled it up because in this little pot here, I keep my stove and the actual butane tank. So the isobutane / propane mix. 200-gram won't fit in the pot. It all fits nicely together. You can actually take this thing off and flip it around so that you can hang your whole stove. But we had good areas where we could put it down on the table or on a rock or whatever, right? So we didn't need the hanging piece. And a Sea to Summit collapsible cup. So there's my hot morning coffee or tea at nighttime. I got it all together in this little mesh bag, make it easy. On that last day of camping though, I had left this out overnight, just this, and the crows decided they were going to come along and see if I left any food, so that was a disaster. In this bag, a Via Rail shower bag. This was really nice for keeping wet things away from everything else. These were my Merrell camp mocks. They zipped together. It was just nice to have some camp shoes to take off to get out of your bike shoes. Little shopping bag from Canada Post. This was nice if you were riding somewhere and you needed to put something around your back with those little drawstrings. Thanks, Wes. In here, this is the leftover of my food. This was like completely filled when I left. So in here, I've got my little food bag. The gristmill and Caramios, highly recommend that. I forget the name of the proprietor there, but he gave us a royal treatment. But the gristmill is a working heritage site that the manager leases, I think, from the province of BC. So very cool. Hot Shots. Didn't have any cramps at all. Didn't need to use that. Highly recommended though if you do. I think they're only available in the US, so because I had to import them. But yeah, my training with Human Go worked out very good. Hand sanitizer, you know what? Just use soap and water. This was not needed. I brought extra Ziploc bags because you can't keep your food waterproof enough if you've got oatmeal and such. Thanks, Wes. So my friend Wes, when I met him in Vancouver, brought me some Elysian espresso from Elysian Coffee Roasters, Guatemala mix. I'm gonna make some of those after I film this. So yeah, that's my food. And the other thing that's in here, oh yeah, the 200 gram isobutane propane mix. And again, I'll just refill my 100 gram there. Gloves, as you can see, this is totally sealed up. Those weren't convenient to access when we got caught in that hailstorm out of Sparwood. And these Pearl Izumi gloves that I have, these are pretty much worn out, but they're really lightweight, don't have much padding at all. They worked and they dried out quick, so really I didn't worry about those. Little cat trowel, if you do have to go to the washroom somewhere, that lets you dig a hole, leave no trace kind of thing. Okay. Oh, the Choo 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 Club pencil. I got a pencil and a sharpener in here. I wonder if I can find the sharpener. That was from a bingo prize that I won because we played bingo on the train. Oh, and a Canada pin. Forgot about that. Yeah, so I took the Via Rail from Melville to Vancouver. Took like 48 hours to get it. Little portable first aid kit. This is brilliant. I like the size of that. We did not have any first aid injuries. Souvenir time card from Medalta Pottery and Brick Plant in Medicine Hat. So that's all that's in that dry bag. In here, this was in the dry bag. This is a Sea to Summit event, also a dry bag compression pack. This is my extreme cold, you know, in case we get caught in the mountains and it got really cold at night. I'll just unroll all this. So it was doubly kept in dry. This is a Pactimo Alpha Tech vest type insulating layer. Very, very warm, very light, wicking, highly recommended. A pair of Bridgedale waterproof socks that I picked up at Mech. Never used them. I don't know if I would bring those along. Once your shoes are wet, it really doesn't matter, I think. Okay, emergency SOL Bivy ultralight full protection shelter. Never had to use that, but you know, if something did happen with my tent, I mean, obviously I had the window break and separate. That gives you something to have as a shelter. Also, an emergency blanket from SOL. Never used that, but again, if it got really cold, guess I could have. Okay, and then this is just arm warmers and leg warmers. And the reason they're in this shape is that my sister had given me a gift. Thank you, Holly. A birthday gift of a nice pottery coffee mug. So okay, so last bag. I actually had these two things in the other Ortlieb Pannier. These are some craft windproof, fairly waterproof pants actually. I found that the rain did not get in there. And then also a craft rain jacket. Fairly lightweight. This was not at all waterproof because of the pit vent and the vent in the back. But because of that venting, it actually made it comfortable to ride in. What's left of the Cliff Bar supply, so about three Cliff Bars that I picked up. Those again would have been in the other pack of the food. I've got all of the stuff that you would call like your toiletries, personal supplies and whatnot, chamois butter, Tiger Balm, other medical stuff, wet wipes, sunscreen, toothbrush, toothpaste, shampoo, conditioner, soap, that kind of stuff. This was pretty heavy. Let's just see if I can weigh what that is here with my handy dandy scale. I'm guessing this is probably a couple of pounds. 1.7 pounds, but you know what? You need your sunscreen. I ride with chamois butter. I guess that's just a personal choice. Other people decide not to. Then I have my clothing. So I brought 2 sets of riding kit and basically 2 sets of camp clothes, 1 long pair of pants, 1 shorts. I used my 3/4 length wool sleeve t-shirt for riding or camp, depending on the temperature. My clothing weighs 6.0 pounds. I probably would pare back on some of that. I had extra. My static V2 sleeping pad. I would weigh it, but it says 463 grams. It actually did very well. It's the old version of the screw top inflation. I would probably recommend you get one that you can inflate with a bag. It did get wet with condensation on the inside, but no problems, don't see any mold. This is my Outbound mummy liner. Highly recommend that, as you could sleep with just that when it was hot. It would keep everything clean, and you can wash that super easy. I brought a couple of N95 masks in case the weather got super smoky. Never used them. You know what, I probably wouldn't bring them again. Some Gear Aid gear patches in case something bad happened with your gear, able to fix it. I brought a lot more mosquito stuff than we needed. Really, the mosquitoes weren't bad, but it's really nice to have. Roll of TP in case you need it. And then this I actually picked up in one of the towns in BC as we're going through. I think it was Oseos. I've got some seam sealer, some rubber cement, some patches, some string, some fabric for repairing your tent. So that is basically all of my packing for the trip. I'm gonna pare it down a little bit the next time. I wouldn't bring everything that I had. Maybe shorten up the clothes list a bit. Not sure if I'd bring that emergency bivvy, the waterproof socks. There's a lot of extra weight.